the mission is huge. You have to take buses to get everywhere as well. So one of my areas, it was like 10 hours away from the mission home. So you have to get in a bus, and then you stay on the bus like all night, and you get there really early in the morning. And then the elders, it's like a 2-day bus ride. The longest area is, I really don't, yeah, it's huge though. And it covers 2 states. So Bahia and Pernambuco, which is Petrolina. There's just like one city that in the other state that the city covers. And I was actually there for majority of my time in Brazil. And it's like the desert. So Brazil, Salvador has 2 extremes. You're either in the desert where it's super hot, or you're in like the trees everywhere, the beach, you know. And so I actually had 2. So I had the desert, and then my last area was on the beach. Well, actually I had 3. One of my areas was in the mountains. So I had all the extremes. But yeah, it's huge. And it's different. Like I was saying, in New York, you work different. You work in groups with your districts all the time. Brazil is kind of just like the traditional way you work. You're with your companion. You have an area. Most of the time you have another set of missionaries with you, like another set of sisters. And it's just like traditional. You just walk around, you talk to people, you try to find people. The church is super new there. It's only been in the Bahia for 20 years. So some of the areas you serve in, the church has only been there for 5 years, 10 years. So they're all converts, which is so cool. Sometimes you open areas where the church has never even been. And so you get a lot of opportunities. You get to see the church as it's starting in that area. And so that was like a super cool experience, just to witness the beginning effects of what happens when the church is introduced to an area. But really, the mission's so large that you don't really see your district that much. You see them every once in a while, and you usually have to travel to your zone conferences, sometimes like a day to get to mission conferences. So your day is the zone conference if you have a zone conference. But yeah, it's way awesome. The people are awesome. You never have to knock on doors. You just walk on the streets, and you can just teach like 5 lessons, and that like walk to your appointment. The people are very accepting to hear the gospel. They love to talk to you. They love to hear, why are you here? What are you doing? Don't your parents miss you? Like, no, they love Jesus Christ. They're very religious. They're very loving. And so anyone that serves there is just going to feel their love and just be very accepted. A lot of the areas have church buildings, like super nice church buildings, but sometimes you'll go to an area like I served in Senor de Bonfim, which is a branch, and they have a church building, but around them they have 3 groups. And so as missionaries, you're in charge of those groups, which is just the phase before a branch. And usually they don't have church buildings. Usually they just meet inside someone's home. And so you, as missionaries, you go with like the branch president and his family to go to church. And it's about like an hour away. And they only have like 10 members, and you sit with them, and you try to get their friends to go to church. But it's interesting, yeah. It's just how willing people are to give their home. And groups are always fun because the church is so new, and you just get to see the miracles of the church grow. And then my last area, it's called the Abranches. It was just a beach town, and the church had only been there for 5 years, but it was already a ward, but they didn't have enough attendance to have a building. But it was like the coolest place to have church because they just owned a lot. And so they had like a canopy thing where you'd have the sacrament, and they had trees everywhere, and it had mango trees, banana trees, a fruit that I didn't even know. It was like called the Adam and Eve fruit because it was white and red inside. So I don't know what it was called, but it was super cool. I think it's a cool experience to have church where you wouldn't have church, just because you realize that the Spirit's the same no matter what, that taking the sacrament still has the same effect. Doesn't matter really where you're at. that the church organization is the same.